The power of renunciation lies in a simple yet transformative truth. The less you desire, the more peace you gain. In a world driven by endless wants and constant comparisons, the mind becomes crowded with expectations, fears, and disappointments. Every desire creates a chain, first the longing, then the pursuit, then the anxiety of losing what is gained. Renunciation does not mean abandoning life or rejecting responsibilities. Rather, it is the art of freeing the heart from unnecessary attachments. When a person learns to reduce their desires, the mind becomes lighter, clearer, and more focused. Instead of chasing illusions of happiness in external objects, one discovers a deeper joy within. Living with fewer desires cultivates gratitude because one begins to appreciate what is already present rather than mourning what is missing. This shift reduces stress and cultivates inner stability. Small acts of renunciation, simplifying your lifestyle, letting go of grudges, avoiding unnecessary competition, or detaching from toxic relationships, open the doorway to real peace. The mind stops running after what it doesn't have and starts cherishing what it does. Great spiritual teachers have always emphasized that real freedom comes not from accumulation, but from detachment. When desires decrease, clarity increases. When wants fall away, wisdom rises. When attachment weakens, calmness strengthens. By letting go, one gains a life that is more meaningful, more mindful, and more harmonious. Renunciation empowers you to live in the present moment because you are no longer burdened by the constant craving for more. Happiness becomes natural rather than forced. Peace becomes effortless rather than demanded. The heart becomes open, humble, and compassionate. The true strength of renunciation lies in the ability to choose inner fulfillment over outer noise. It teaches us that real wealth is not in possessions, but in freedom. Not in abundance, but in contentment. When you desire less, you fear less. When you expect less, you suffer less. When you cling less, you live more. Thus, the essence of renunciation is not loss, it is liberation. It is the realization that peace does not come from having everything, but from needing very little. Through this understanding, life becomes simpler, relationships become purer, and the mind becomes a serene home where peace naturally resides. Continuing this reflection on the power of renunciation, it becomes clear that true peace begins when we stop allowing our desires to control us. Most of the suffering in life arises not from circumstances themselves, but from the expectations we attach to them. When we expect too much, from people, from society, from outcomes, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Renunciation teaches us to soften these expectations and accept life with an open heart. This does not mean giving up ambition or growth. Rather, it means working with dedication while letting go of unhealthy attachment to results. When we detach from the fear of failure and the obsession with success, we work with greater clarity, sincerity, and joy. Renunciation frees us from the pressure to prove ourselves to the world. We no longer need external validation to feel worthy. Instead, we learn to appreciate our journey, our efforts, and our inner growth. By reducing our desires, we reduce the noise inside our minds. This inner silence helps us listen to our intuition, understand our emotions, and make wiser decisions. In this silence, we discover a profound truth. Peace is not something we achieve, it is something we allow. When we stop chasing, worrying, and craving, peace naturally arises like a calm lake after the storm settles. Renunciation also strengthens relationships. When we are less demanding, less possessive, and less controlling, the people around us feel safer and more valued. Love becomes pure, free from conditions and expectations. Instead of loving with the fear of losing, we love with the joy of giving. This shift creates bonds rooted in trust and compassion. Renunciation also transforms our attitude toward material things. Instead of hoarding possessions, we begin to value experiences, memories, and meaningful connections. This approach leads to a more sustainable and mindful way of living. We become responsible with our resources and grateful for every small comfort we have. The burden of wanting more slowly fades, replaced by appreciation for simplicity. Spiritually, renunciation is the doorway to awakening. Every great sage, from the Buddha to the Stoics, has taught that inner freedom arises only when desires are tamed. In letting go of attachments, one becomes more connected to the present moment. The mind no longer wanders into regrets of the past or anxieties of the future. Instead, it rests in a quiet awareness where joy naturally dwells. Renunciation is not a sacrifice of happiness, it is the path to lasting freedom. When you desire less, you feel lighter. When you let go, you rise. When you stop chasing the world, you finally come home to yourself. And in that home, simple, silent, and spacious, you discover the greatest treasure of all, unshakable inner peace. As we continue exploring the transformative force of renunciation, it becomes evident that the journey of letting go is also a journey toward self-discovery. When we release unnecessary desires, the mind becomes free to explore its own depths. Most people spend their entire lives chasing external fulfillment, wealth, recognition, relationships, achievements, often unaware of the vast inner world waiting to be discovered. Renunciation turns our attention inward. It encourages us to sit with ourselves, understand our thoughts, question our motives, and listen to the quiet whispers of intuition. In this inner stillness, we begin to uncover our authentic values, the things that truly matter, and the purpose that give our life meaning. Instead of being driven by shallow desires, we start walking a path guided by clarity and intention. This shift brings a sense of direction that no external achievement can provide. Renunciation also teaches us patience, a virtue often forgotten in a world obsessed with instant gratification. When we reduce our desires, we reduce the urge to rush toward outcomes. We start appreciating the slow, meaningful process of growth. Patience softens the ego, calms the heart, and opens the mind to long-term wisdom. Whether in work, relationships, or personal goals, patience allows us to move with steadiness instead of anxiety. Renunciation shows us that not every wish needs to be fulfilled immediately, and not every ambition needs to be achieved at once. Sometimes the greatest strength is in waiting, watching, and trusting the natural rhythm of life. Renunciation also nurtures compassion. When we become less consumed by our own wants, we develop greater sensitivity to the needs of others. We begin to recognize the struggles, hopes, and emotions of people around us. This awareness deepens empathy and strengthens human connection. A heart free from excessive desires becomes generous, not only in giving material support, but also in kindness, forgiveness, and understanding. Compassion becomes effortless when the ego loosens its grip. We learn to listen without judgment, help without expecting anything in return, and love without demanding perfection. This compassionate way of living spreads peace not only within ourselves, but to everyone we touch. Renunciation also strengthens our ability to face suffering with greater courage. Life inevitably brings loss, disappointment, illness, and uncertainty. When we are overly attached, these experiences feel unbearable. But when we cultivate a mindset of detachment, we learn to endure pain without being shattered by it. We accept suffering as a part of the human journey, something to learn from rather than fear. This acceptance gives us emotional resilience, allowing us to rise again with renewed strength and purpose. Renunciation does not eliminate challenges, it helps us meet them with a calm and steady heart. Ultimately, the path of renunciation leads us to a profound realization. Peace is not found in acquiring more, but in letting go of what no longer serves our growth. The less we cling, the more we soar. The lighter our desires, the brighter our inner light becomes. And through this light, we discover a life filled with simplicity, freedom, and unshakable inner peace.
As we move further along the path of renunciation, we begin to understand that letting go is not an act of loss, but an act of inner empowerment. Every attachment we release returns a portion of our freedom to us. The mind, which was once tangled in countless worries and desires, slowly begins to breathe again. In this fresh space of openness, we realize how much energy we had been wasting on things that did not truly matter. We start valuing our mental peace over temporary pleasures, our emotional well-being over unnecessary battles, and our inner clarity over superficial achievements. Renunciation teaches us that nothing external has the power to disturb us unless we give it that power. The moment we loosen the grip of desire, we reclaim control of our inner world. This realization becomes a turning point, where peace is no longer a distant dream, but a living experience that grows with every conscious step toward simplicity. Renunciation also helps us rediscover the joy of the present moment. When the mind is cluttered with desires, it constantly pulls us into the future, thinking, planning, hoping, worrying. But when desires fade, the present moment becomes alive. We begin to feel the richness of each breath, the warmth of human connection, the beauty hidden in ordinary routines. Life no longer feels like a race to achieve something. Instead, it feels like a journey to experience fully. This shift brings immense calmness. We stop comparing our path with others and start respecting the uniqueness of our own. Every moment becomes meaningful because we are not rushing beyond it. The gift of presence is one of the greatest blessings that renunciation offers. Moreover, renunciation sharpens our wisdom. When the noise of endless wants quiets down, our decisions become clearer, more balanced, and more thoughtful. We are no longer swayed by impulses or temptations. Instead, we act with awareness and maturity. This inner clarity helps us stay aligned with our values, even in difficult situations. We stop reacting blindly to circumstances and start responding with understanding. This wisdom slowly transforms our life from the inside out. It guides us toward healthier relationships, wiser choices, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. Renunciation also strengthens our spiritual connection. Whether one follows a religion, a philosophy, or simply the call of the heart, renunciation opens a doorway to profound inner silence. In this silence, we feel a presence, gentle, comforting, and uplifting. Some call it the soul, some call it consciousness, some call it divine energy. Whatever name one chooses, the experience is the same. A sense of being connected to something greater than the individual self. This connection brings courage during challenges, comfort during loneliness, and inspiration during uncertainty. It reminds us that we are not alone on this journey. Ultimately, renunciation leads us to a simple yet powerful realization. Peace is not about controlling life, it is about understanding life. It is about accepting what comes, releasing what goes, and cherishing what stays. In needing less, we discover more. In letting go, we rise. And in embracing simplicity, we uncover a peace that nothing in the world can shake. As the journey of renunciation unfolds further, we begin to realize that letting go is not a single act, but a continuous process of inner refinement. Every day presents new opportunities to loosen the knots of attachment that silently bind us. Sometimes these knots are obvious: material desires, unhealthy habits, or emotional dependencies. But sometimes they are subtle, like the need for approval, the fear of being misunderstood, or the expectation that people should behave according to our wishes. Renunciation teaches us to recognize these subtle attachments without judgment. It encourages us to observe them gently and release them one by one, just as a tree effortlessly sheds its old leaves when the season changes. This gradual release purifies the heart and creates space for new forms of peace to enter. With every attachment that falls away, we gain a deeper sense of freedom, like a bird discovering the strength of its wings. Renunciation also reveals a profound truth about happiness. It is not something we must chase, but something we must allow. The more we cling to desires, the more we push happiness away, because happiness thrives only in a mind that is calm and open. When we let go of unnecessary wants, happiness shines through naturally, like sunlight emerging from behind passing clouds. This kind of joy is soft, silent, and steady. It is not dependent on circumstances, achievements, or possessions. Instead, it flows from within, an inner contentment that comes from having fewer expectations and a heart unburdened by cravings. This inner joy slowly becomes our natural state, guiding us gently through life's ups and downs. Another beautiful aspect of renunciation is the humility it cultivates. Letting go softens the ego, allowing us to embrace life with more openness and gratitude. We begin to appreciate the simple blessings that we once overlooked. Kindness from a stranger, the comfort of familiar faces, the peace of early mornings, the wisdom hidden in silence. Renunciation teaches us that richness is not in abundance, but in appreciation. When we value the simple gifts of life, every day becomes meaningful and every moment becomes precious. Humility also strengthens our connection with others. It helps us approach relationships without pride or possessiveness, creating harmony rather than conflict. A humble heart listens more, judges less, and forgives easily. It becomes a source of peace for itself and for those around it. Renunciation also strengthens our resilience. When we are not attached to outcomes, we are no longer shaken by failure or overly excited by success. We learn to walk steadily through life, grounded and centered. Challenges still come, but they no longer break us. Instead, they shape us, teach us, and strengthen our inner foundation. This resilience becomes a quiet strength, allowing us to face the uncertainties of life with grace and confidence. We stop fearing loss because we understand that everything in life is temporary. We stop clinging because we trust that what is truly meant for us will remain. In the end, the path of renunciation brings us to the simplest yet most profound understanding of life. Peace was never outside, it was always within us, waiting patiently beneath the layers of desire, fear, and attachment. When we let go of what we do not need, we make room for what truly matters. When we stop chasing the illusions of happiness, we discover the real joy that lives in stillness, gratitude, and contentment. Renunciation is not about withdrawing from the world, it is about returning to ourselves. It teaches us to walk lightly, love deeply, and live mindfully. And as we embrace this gentle art of letting go, we find that every step becomes a meditation, every breath becomes a blessing, and every moment becomes a doorway to inner freedom. The journey of life becomes clearer, calmer, and more compassionate. In choosing less, we gain more. In releasing, we rise. And in letting go, we finally awaken to the unshakable peace that was always meant to be ours.